All right, and we are about to start. Just 1 minute away. Untitled Tuesday, chess.com. Everyone in this tournament is untitled. Still a lot of strong players, 46 in right now, 47. And we're seated somewhere near the bottom or near the middle. All right. First game, we have someone against from Mexico. Time control is 3 minutes with a 2-second increment. And it does not appear that our opponent is here yet. So maybe we'll get a free win to start. So these are our top players here. We got a few players, looks like 5 players over 2,200, about 10 players over 2,000, but 47 players all overall. And we're still waiting on this guy. This is a 10-round tournament, so it's going to be a little bit long, but plenty of games. So if he doesn't want to show up, it doesn't cut into our chess games too much. I don't want to go watch another game until this one is finished. So we'll just be patient. Save our energy for the next game, or if he shows up. Even if he shows up with a minute left with that increment, it can still be a close game. He's got the rating advantage. But now there's less than a minute. I don't really know any of the other players in here. See if I recognize any of the names. Recognize the name Smislav Fan. Chess Guy 1012. I feel like I've seen that name before. Speedy Chess 11. I've seen that name. Interactive Chess. I've seen that name. I think I might have played him the other day in chat. Maybe in the Arena Kings. But overall, I do not recognize most of these players, which is nice. A lot of new players to play against. And now 10 seconds left. Even if he comes back to this point, I think we're in good shape. And a win to start the tournament. They even gave us the rating points for it. So we just hit 1,700 with that. Woo! Okay, let's check out the top game right now that's going on. We got Scotchista 89 versus Eric Boer-Reed. Italy versus Canada. This position, it was a Roy Lopez. Black's got a lot of space and activity on the queen side. Pretty even in the center, but no big weaknesses in white's position, while black has a few weaknesses. And it looks like white just grabbed the pawn. Definitely prefer white's position. King safety, pretty even. Although these dark squares could become weak later if that bishop doesn't stay over there. Now the knight's going to come back to g4 probably. Also a large time advantage. Didn't expect to be commentating today, but that's usually what happens in between rounds for a little bit. Probably less than 5 minutes until the next round starts anyway. So I keep that knight over there on h6, it looks like. So I've never played in one of these Untitled Tuesdays before. This is my first one. I've heard about them. Wasn't sure how big they were. 46 players. It's not small. Nothing like the size of the actual Titled Tuesday. Of course, money always draws more people. Ten people have won their games so far. So about half the games are finished. We can see white's pieces swarming around the black king. But still only with that extra pawn. The e5 pawn will also fall here. Take with the knight or the rook, it looks like. Kind of like taking with the rook. Maybe playing a rook down to c7 soon. Still a large time advantage. It was about a minute before, but now it's down to 35 seconds of an advantage. But a minute versus 24 seconds is still significant. Wow, he's really taking his time here on this move. Yeah, he took with the rook, but now time's almost even. Okay, he sacrificed his knight. Not sure what he's going for here. Although black is down to 3 seconds. Oh, and he ran out of time. His position was getting better. Okay, so we have 16 people, 16 games that have finished. Let's see here. We still have 7 games left. We'll look at the next top game. Carpe Noctem. I feel like we've seen his name before also. Against Interactive Chess. Same colored bishops, which is often more winning. And in this case, it's going to be 2 pawns. So this is definitely winning for white. Yeah, try and trade off bishops. And he's got to try and get his king further up. Because right now his king is not helping. His king wants to help push that c-pawn to tie the bishop down. Now here, if white takes that pawn and trades bishops, it'll only be down 1 pawn. There'll be a losing king-pawn endgame. Yeah, so now that black king just needs to work his way up the board. Oh, don't give up that pawn. Yeah, I think he should have just pushed the e-pawn earlier so it was on a dark square so the bishop and king couldn't team up against it. But you can see when the white king is active and the black king is not, even the two-pawn advantage is much harder. Now this should be a draw. Both bishops are going to be able to sacrifice for the respective pawns. If he takes the bishop, e2 follows, and he can't stop the pawn. So black's just playing for some tricks here. But as long as white realizes that the only thing they need to do is sacrifice the bishop, they're fine. So here, white can't lose, and it is a draw. A nice result for interactive chess. Very nice result. Okay, we got 2 games left. See how Troy 8 is doing here. All right, this is also going to be a draw. We see a lot of upsets in this first round. Well, this should be a draw, especially with the increment. I don't know how long they're going to play it, but it's really not that interesting. And here is a much more interesting position. Rook and 2 pawns versus rook and 2 pawns. Black has the worst pawn structure. So this should be at least drawing for white, which would be another upset. But it's still tricky. The black king is more active. But I don't really see a good way for black to make progress here. Both under 15 seconds, or under 20 seconds rather. Both these rook endgames still going on. So it'll be interesting to see if the rook endgames, or if the endgames are going to be similar to the ones in Untitled Tuesday. Lots of rook endgames is expected. We'll see if we have some rook and bishop versus rook. Maybe some knight and bishop versus king. Black's playing on, but if white just keeps their king on g1 and g2, there's no way for the black king to team up with the rook to try and trap the king there. So no real danger here. Although if white wants, they can play rook h5 at any time and take that h4 pawn. Maybe play for the win there. All right. See where we are with the standings. We started that last game going. They are still playing. So we're in a huge tie for first. 20 people with 1 point. A few draws. A lot of upsets. Already 3 people withdrew, probably didn't show up for their first game. I mean, I understand playing on as the higher rated player, but with increment, I mean this is just wasting time. Of course, it is their right to play. And as soon as I say that it's wasting time, one of them might blunder their rook. All right, there we go. The next round should start momentarily. And the game has begun. We're now facing GD Fam 7. All right, we've got a Sicilian to begin. I'm going to play an open Sicilian. And it's going to be a dragon, so this is already going to be a fun game. See if he plays knight c6 as the main move here. I'm going to play g4. We don't need to castle that king. a6. Interesting. All right, well, let's continue with h4. Just try and knock over the king side. And h5 while we're at it. I'm not really sure where the light squared bishop is going to go yet. And I have yet to be forced to put it anywhere. Okay. Can I get away with sacrificing this knight? I played a line like this last night, and I just sacrificed the knight. Let's do it. See how determined he is to open up his king? Now he's got a big decision to take the knight or not. If he does take, I've got the choice to take with the bishop or the pawn. Probably the bishop, just keep my pawns intact in case I do want to castle queenside later. I want to see if I can use this h file. All right, we're going to take with the bishop. Then how's he going to recapture on g6? Is he going to recapture on g6? He does. Let's play a check. So we'll see if we get any compensation for the piece. Right now we have some. Whether it's enough, that's always the question. All right, we'll swing our queen over to the king side. Now I do have the threat of taking that knight and then taking on h7. These pawns really control a lot of squares. The only disadvantage here is that I can't play g5 without the knight going to h5. And having sacrificed a piece already, when my queen was back on d2, you know, a lot of times if I hadn't sacrificed the piece, there'd be the idea of playing g5, knight h5, rook takes h5, especially if I've queenside castled and swinging the second rook onto the g file or even the h file. But here it doesn't really apply. Okay, so he's really trying to keep that closed. But we don't want it to be closed. He takes with the knight. We're going to go ahead and take on g7, and then we're probably going to queenside castle. Yep. Take on g7. Queenside castle. I'm not worried about this f3 pawn. If it gets to an endgame, I'm going to lose anyway because I'm down the piece. What I'm looking at right now is the open files towards his king. And this light square bishop, okay. Queen check. Where's the queen going now? This d6 pawn is weak. All right, we obviously don't want to trade queens. Let's go queen g2. Still trying to trade queens. We're going to keep running with the queen. Might have to give up some more pawns. Takes with the rook. Interesting. I have rook g1 here, which looks strong. Yeah, let's play rook g1. The idea is if the queen leaves the file, I have rook takes h5 in a lot of cases. Okay, so it doesn't fall for that. The queen's still guarding there. But at the same time, I'm going to be able to start getting in. All right, do I attack this rook? Do I play queen up? Hmm. I also have rook g5 attacking the knight and the queen. That's pretty interesting. Now let's go ahead and play rook g5. Guarded by my queen. And he's down in under 15 seconds. I didn't realize I was at 45 seconds either. Well, that's a good move. I want to guard the f1 square so I don't get back rank checkmate. I'm guarding it 3 times right now, but my pieces are going to want to move. Might play bishop d3 and push the e pawn soon. Now I've got the threat on this pawn and on the knight. We're going to take that pawn. His king's on the run. He's down under 5 seconds. And oh, I thought he was out of time. My bishop's doing a great job guarding stuff right now. All right, I'm going to take there, play a check, and checkmate. Whew, what a game. He said good game, but he left. That was a really good game, JD Fam 7. That was a really fun one. Maybe we'll look at it later, see if I actually got compensation for that piece. But I certainly did once that knight got to h5 and we got to set up that sacrifice that I was talking about. All right, let's get another game up. I'm sure you guys don't want to just sit here looking at this final position. Scotchista 89 again from Italy. And he's got a rook and a bishop for the queen. One extra pawn. The rook and bishop shouldn't lose this. They should be able to set up some kind of fortress. Without any passed pawns, it would be very challenging for white to win this. Everything on black side of the board is guarded. The king can just run around on the white squares. Looks like they've been playing this not that long, really. All right, let's see what else is going on. We got 7 games left, 6 games left. Here we see black is up a piece. Looks like he's taking care of business. It's a nice position because black can likely just trade queens at will and still be winning in the bishop versus pawns endgame. Just has to find a good way to do that. Oh, very nice. Has to sacrifice the queen for the bishop now because that would be mate otherwise. So that's going to be a game. It's going to be it. 3 games left now. Only one we haven't looked at. Lorgan versus Go Queen Yourself. White is up a pawn. And this, I would think, should be winning for white. Maybe king f6 now. And if there's a check, then go king e7. Now go king e7 so you can push the pawns. Right, so here, when there's a check step here, there you go, that's the square you want. Because now you're going to be able to get a guarded pawn on 7. Okay, just take that pawn. Yeah, and this is game over. This is going to be a win for Go Queen Yourself, also with an upset. All right, that wasn't the way to do it. Well, okay. He just wins the rook. We'll go back to this game. We've got the queen versus the bishop and rook. And black has a passed pawn now, but if I was black, I don't know if I'd be pushing it. I'd be just focused on the draw. Well, I guess white's pawns aren't that scary. Is he going to really try and walk his king up to try and win this? Yeah, if you let white's king get in, then there's always possibilities of just checkmating yourself, even if you're better. The queen is always tricky. But it looks like he's going to keep pushing. The rook is guarded by the bishop. Yep, king c3 now, and yeah, this might be a win. That pawn really came down the board fast. Last game before the next round starts. 8 of us with 2 points right now. Okay, that's important because it guards the e1 square. So whenever rook c2, the queen doesn't have a check. Because he wants to get rook c1 in at some point. Yeah, rook c1 now. Okay. Rook e1 right away works too because the bishop's guarding that square. Yeah, just block with the queen. Gonna run out of checks real fast here. Yeah, of course this is an easy win. Easy win at this point. See if he can get it done quickly. Down to 41 players, people withdrawing, dropping out. Guess it was all after the first round. Ooh, 1.5 out of 2 and had the lead. That's unfortunate. Okay, and the next round should be starting momentarily. And here we are against Carpe Noctem, who we saw playing earlier. So I got paired down, kind of, down score group-wise, but up in rating, which is kind of expected at this point. I'm the second lowest person with 2 points. Okay, and we're going to have a French defense. I'm going to play a French win hour. Keep it crazy. Okay. He wants to play something more classical. We're going to exchange here. I like playing this line where you go for the win hour, and if they play knight f6, you exchange. Had a lot of success with it over the board. I don't mind playing something relatively symmetrical. Find exchange Frenches to be a lot more exciting than people give them credit for. All right, I'm going to pin that knight too. We're just kind of a knight pinning party. All right, so the threat was to take the knight and then take the pawn, or to just take the pawn right away. He's probably going to back his bishop up to h5. Contest the e-file. Now we've got to make a decision. The pin on our knight's going to be pesky for a while. I'd like to get my queen moving, but it's hard to do that with this knight on f3. So I might even play bishop e2 back. My other choice is to play g4. I don't have a lot of productive moves in this position if I don't play one of those. You know, my rook on a1 doesn't have a square it wants to go to yet. It probably wants to double on the e-file. So in order to get all of that moving, I probably have to do something over here. So we're going to bring the bishop back. Bishop to g6 isn't really productive for him because I can just play my bishop back to d3 and it gets rid of the pin. Now we're going to move our queen as advertised. One of the reasons that h3 is really useful in these positions is because it gets out of the way of this diagonal. I'm thinking of rearranging this knight, maybe all the way to e3, and aim for f5. Seems like that might be a good idea. Okay, so it looks like he just wants to trade off that knight for my bishop. If he doesn't, then my bishop can come back to e3 perhaps. Or maybe back to h4. We're a little bit low on time, as often happens when you face a higher rated player. And now he takes on f3. Take back with the bishop. If he takes the bishop, then we get to take the rook with check first, so he doesn't get knight takes f3 in time. Oh, but what about knight takes bishop, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, and I can't play queen takes knight because of rook e1 checkmate. So it looks like he did in fact miss that, thankfully for us. And we'll bring this bishop all the way back. Yeah, so it looked like he had a shot there. Maybe my knight on c3, even though it wasn't doing much, should have just stayed there to keep his knight out of e4. Because obviously his knight on e4 is the strongest piece on the board. Might just have to exchange his bishop for it soon. And then play my knight to e3 to blockade the pawn. In fact, let's do that now. Now my pieces aren't super happy. Maybe bishop c3. Although my knight can also go to f5, which might help things. So we're definitely out of the worst of it, I think. And I don't have any big weaknesses in the position. King f1. The light squares aren't super dangerous. I can even play c4 at some point if I want. Okay. In fact, I'm going to play c4 now. Help control the d5 square, prevent its knight from coming in. It'd be nice if I could guard the g3 square again, because then I could play g3 and trap that bishop. But right now, he probably wouldn't be that unhappy to just take and sacrifice. And I think unless my queen can get over there pretty quick, I don't want to do that. So now I'm thinking bishop c3 and queen d2. Yep, he got the bishop out of there so it wasn't trapped. I've got a reasonable position, just low on time right now. Nope, the queen's not doing anything there. Knight's going to jump in. Yep. I might have to give up an exchange here against this knight. Now I've got to play g3 anyway to prevent the queen from coming in. So that big maneuver was to get his queen and bishop on the same diagonal. I have knight f5. He prevents that. My idea here was to try and get my queen and bishop on the same diagonal. He's not having any of that. Okay, back the queen up. Attack the queen with my bishop. See what he does about that. Okay, we're going to take with the bishop on the queen again. Now we're going to back the bishop up. And he's down to 38 seconds also. Uh-oh. That was definitely a mistake letting the queen in. Oh, and that's checkmate. All right, low on time. That was a good game. He played well. I thought we put up a good fight. Lots of games left. Where does this put us? In the standings. We got 2 out of 3, so we're in a big tie for 8th place, it looks like right now. Something like that. But a big tie. Still doing pretty well. That's only round 3 of 10. And we're going to see White take care of this game, up 3 pawns and a bishop. So let's find another one. K-Storm. Okay. Guess these are all the top games right now. Most of the top games must have finished. White is up in exchange, but Black has a pawn for it. If White can collect that pawn on A3, they might be okay, but it's hard. The D4 pawn is weak, and it's very hard to get to that weak F7 pawn. And that knight's on a good outpost. So this might end up being a draw. It seems Black has found a pretty nice setup. And I don't really see how White's going to crack it, especially with 20 seconds on the clock. He can never give up the rook for the knight because the black pawn on the A file is too fast. And here, is Black messed up? Looks like Black is messed up, letting that passed pawn happen. And now White's going to queen. So that was definitely unnecessary. Yeah, and these pawns just are not fast enough. And White won. A little swindle there. All right, 3 games left. Luke Master 101 is up a pawn in a knight endgame against middle gamer Umesh. Oftentimes, knight endgames, the extra pawn is enough to win. Here, the white king is not very active, so it'll be a challenge. And the extra white pawn is backwards, so it's pretty easy for Black to defend. And White's the one that's lower on time. Just knight e7, yep. Ooh, now king f5, yeah. Now White has to be careful they don't lose their pawns. Just put the king back to e6, okay, or that check, and then go back to e7 with the knight. Ooh, goes after the pawn, okay. And now it's just a draw because there are no more pawns. All right. 1 game left. W. Sama against the bad Dobby Fisher. Okay. Harry Potter fan. Opposite color bishop endgame. The extra pawn is meaningless here. This should be a pretty easy draw. Although, yeah, with the king on that square, Black can never push the pawn. So just move the white square bishop. There we go. And the next round should be starting any moment. We're sitting there tied in 15th place. Really a tie for 7th place. Only 4 players still with 3 points. And here we go against Berlachi 1 from Serbia. This is now round 4. Queen's Gambit declined. Bishop D2, I guess preventing any kind of Bishop B4 ideas. Let's just play a simple triangle setup. Don't have to worry about Bishop G5 stuff, it looks like. Which means my bishop's probably going to go to D6. Well, not anymore. Okay. So he's going to play a very closed position. And I'm not sure I mind that since his bishop is inside the pawn chain. Looks like his dark squared bishop is going to be bad for a while. So do I even want to play B6? It might be nice to get some space for my white squared bishop, so I think I'm going to play B6. Threatening to just take on C5. All right, we'll take once. Bishop B7. See if he wants to trade off rooks. And let's see how much he wants to trade on the A file. Okay, we're going to play Bishop A6, and if he pins it with Rook A1, we're going to go Queen B7. Like this. Oh, well that didn't work at all, did it? And the move I was worried about was pushing the pawn. Okay. We definitely didn't calculate that right. Okay, let's get the B file right away, attack that queen. Got to get these knights active on the king side. Play the knight up to G6. He's looking for a queen trade. We obviously would prefer not to. So we'll attack the queen again. Just avoiding the queen trade since we're down a piece. That knight's coming in to an annoying square. All right, let's try and attack the pawn. Well, I'm going to say that way back when we played B6, it was probably a mistake. This position is telling me that B6 was probably a mistake. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and resign that. Let's go back quickly and look at it. Way back in this position, we were talking about how it was nice how the position was closed and his bishop was inside here. We should probably just play like Rook E8. Bring our knight over to G6. And just wait. Maybe play B6 later. All right, let's look at the top game. Ooh, 2 pretty high-rated players. Every fish knows we haven't seen any of his games yet. I'm going to leave this game up, run to the restroom quickly. All right, we are back. You can see the same game still going on. Oh, black is up a rook. Oh, yeah, white had to give it up. That pass pawn was too dangerous. So black should win this one. Unless black can't figure out a way to stop those pawns. But I think he should be able to. One player right now has 4 out of 4. Okay, moves or what? Let's refresh it. Yeah, moves stopped coming through. Okay. So white did eventually get eventually got a queen out of that. Oh, black ran their king up the board instead of guarding against the queen. All right, with 2 pawns, it's probably hard for white to win this, but queen versus rook is a win. So if he can pick off a pawn or two, he'll have a win. This is the top game, only 2 left, so we'll leave this up. One player with 4 points, a few players with 3 points. We are tied down 21st with 2 out of 4 right now. Now it seems like black doesn't have a ton of moves. Can he just shuffle that rook? Oh, and he got checkmated. Nope, he didn't know how to build a fortress. Wow. And our next game is up against 2007 chess. We lost, so naturally we get a higher rated player. From Canada, 2034, another D4 game. Queen's Gambit declined. I'm going to play the bishop d6. Castle. That's annoying. What are we supposed to do there? After e4, I have to take on e4, I guess. Let's see. I guess I just have to take on e4 instead, okay? It's not putting up the best fight against these high-rated players. Now we're definitely in an unfavorable position. I like to get this bishop active. I prefer whenever I'm down a piece because I choose to be, with a sacrifice or something. Maybe bishop a6. Try and target this weak e3 pawn. He's trying to keep my bishop from being very active. It's working so far. All right, I guess we'll move our bishop back. My knight will go back to f8 if he attacks it with h5. And I'd like to play c5 and attack the queen on that diagonal. Sacrifice. If I take with the rook, the queen takes. All right, well, what can we do? We can thread in. Checkmate doesn't solve it. So let's come back and just guard our knight. That way, if he plays knight h6 check, well, I guess knight h6 is still going to be, well, check. Knight takes, it's no longer checkmate. We're going to thread in checkmate. See how well that worked? Yeah, nowhere to go. Down too much material. This was a nice move right here. We played knight takes f7. If I take with the rook, then queen takes check, and we get mated. And then here, if I don't put something on the back row, then he has knight h6. And then if I take with the pawn, he has check and checkmate. If I don't take with the pawn, he just has checkmate. So a nice tactic there by him. That was round 5, so we're halfway there. All right, these are our 2 players that have 4 points. And same colored bishops. We can see that white's king's a little bit safer, and more of black's pawns are on white squares. But since the black king is the one kind of under attack, white's still avoiding the queen trade for now. Yeah, black would be happy to trade off bishops. All right, now queen h8 check. It feels close to there being something. White doesn't want to trade queens if the bishop can't get back to c8 to attack those pawns. So he's trying to set up a position where if the queen's trade, his bishop can infiltrate. But it seems like black has a pretty good defensive setup here. Black's not going to try and push because all of their pieces are on the right squares. We're keeping white out at the moment. All right, what about queen h8 and then trade queens and play bishop g4? That's probably what I would try. So queen h8 check, and if they offer the queen trade again, I would take it. Just puts another pawn on a dark square. There's no need to rush. Black is the one defending and low on time. Now queen h8 check. Yep. And if queen g7, now take it and play bishop g5, g4. Yep. And then bishop c8. And now all the pawns fall because they're on light squares. He played that a5 move so that black couldn't play a5 and save that pawn. Now white's looking for a way to get their king into the game. That way they can create a weakness on both sides of the board, like this. Now the h pawn is also weak. And so the f pawn is also passed. And that will be enough. And now black is not going to be able to defend all these pawns. In fact, he cannot even stop the queen here. That was a nice game by ASG2. Very nice game. All right, how many? We've got 3 going still. Carpe Noctem, one of the guys that beat us, against Go Queen Yourself. Go Queen Yourself is having quite a nice tournament so far. Opposite color Bishop Endgame. White is down a pawn, but opposite color bishops, I guess they repeated a few times, and that was it. Tots versus Turachi M. A queen versus 2 rooks. The queen also has 2 extra pawns and a more active king. Oh boy. Black's pawns are going to be scary here, I think. Just checkmate. That's a nice little checkmate. And that white rook that's sitting on f8 is not doing anything. Yeah, very nice checkmate. Okay. Let's go ahead and see the last game that's going on. We've got a knight end game. Black is up a pawn, so they have the winning chances. For those of you watching, I think the chat room is working today. Some days it doesn't want to work. Okay, so here, I was going to say here it doesn't look like Black's can make progress. Their pawns are too split, too weak. That's the last game, so the next game should be starting any second. Here we go. Lucin17 is up next. Looks like he is from Peru. Yep. This should be a good matchup. Is it going to be another French defense? And we do get the win hour this time. All right, c5 is the main move, but move order doesn't always matter a ton. If you play c5 here, main move. Okay, so we're going to punt this h-pawn right away, I think is the main thing. I just back up. I only played this line once over the board. And I drew a worse endgame from the white side against this B6 line. It's not supposed to be the best for black, but usually white doesn't necessarily know what they're doing as much against it. We're going to end up kingside castling, probably playing a rook to the b file here. I'd like it if he takes on d4 and undoubles our pawns. All right, so he might be going queenside. Let's go ahead and get this rook on the b file right away, just to try and deter him. We'll see if the queen ends up coming up to a4 or not. In some positions it's okay, in some positions it's not great. So we're playing down a score group again, which is kind of surprising. He does play queen a4. I'm going to play my bishop back to c1 to defend, I think. No, this pawn's also weak. I don't want to play rook b3 because of c4. So it looks like we're just going to let go of a pawn. Sometimes it must be done. Still looking to see if he's going to go queenside. If he takes that a3 pawn or the c2 pawn, it's going to make it easier for my piece to get to the queenside with tempo. We've got a nice time edge also. All right, let's back up the bishop, guard the c3 pawn. He takes on d4, I can still recapture without any problem. Okay, so he closes the position over there, kind of closes his queen out. Let's go ahead and jump my knight in. Maybe my queen, oh, nope, his queen runs away. Maybe my queen won't do anything over there right now. My queen's kind of babysitting this h4 pawn at the moment. Bring my knight back. He can take on h4 now. All right, we're going to keep the queen. I can still play knight g5. Knight g5 is interesting. The queen's actually almost trapped there. Hitting f7 and almost trapping the queen, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, so he's trying to avoid that. Okay, avoid the queen trade. We're up on time and down a pawn or two. So we definitely want to avoid the queen trade. Okay, his knight retreats. It's probably coming up to f4. I might end up having to trade queens here, though. All right, open the F file, I guess. But I didn't have a good way to run away with the queen without allowing him a big kingside attack. He's down to 30 seconds. Even though he's low on time, we don't want to play too fast. And now he castles. to attack the weak pawn. Okay, now we're just going to come back. Start it with the king. I was a little worried about king h2 earlier, if you could open the h file, but now he really can't. See if I can activate this bishop a little bit more. And my knight. My pieces are not super active, although he just trapped his, thought he trapped his rook, but not yet. If the H file opens, I'm going to go for a run. Here I am going for a run. The knight takes, I'll take with my bishop. Let's lift this rook, guard the c3 pawn, and run my king up to f2. He's down to 5 seconds. All right, we'll run my king up to e2 instead. Threatening bishop f6. Now I'm under 20 seconds. Put pressure on the a pawn. And the b pawn. Try and infiltrate here. Okay, guard our pieces. Maybe play g3. Maybe play g4. Can we trap that rook? That rook looks trapped. Okay, I'm down to 6 seconds. Oh, I didn't even realize what he was doing. Yep, I didn't even see him attack my other rook. So now I'm just down a bunch on time. That was a sneaky move attacking that rook. And 2-second increment definitely helped him there. Where's my resign button? Very nice. Okay, so let's go back and see that big mistake. Right. I just forgot my other rook was over there. Right here. In this position, we're both getting low on time. Both under 10 seconds, so can't fault myself too much. After this move, I forgot he was attacking my rook. We just dropped it. Oh, next, I guess we're one of the last games. Okay, Marty 310 is up next. This is now round 7. All right, Marty, where are you? Says he's offline. Okay. Well, that'll be exciting. Another exciting game if that happens. Let's take a look at the standings. Ooh, ASG2 lost. So we've got 2 players at 5 out of 6, so no perfect scores. And 4 players at 4.5 out of 6. Looks like Marty 310 left. Lots of people, once they get partway through the tournament, just drop out. We're going to play the whole thing now. People don't like to play when they aren't playing well, but it's good practice. 3-2 is not one of my better time controls, since I often in blitz play for the clock. All right, I guess we'll bring up the top game. And you can see the time up on the side. So my opponent has 90 seconds left. And this, I'll go through it quickly. Nimzo Indian defense. Oh, my opponent is here. All right, he played C4. Well, I like how it took me straight to the game. I'm going to go for a pretty standard setup. Leave our knights out, just simple development. He's chasing that bishop. He can have it if he wants to spend that much time getting it. I'm threatening knight takes b4 here. Okay, he guarded the bishop, guarded the rook. We'll look to trade off those light squared bishops. He's got to develop that knight eventually, right? Okay, and we're happy with that. Let's rearrange this knight over to the king side. We're going to push that, force that knight to move again. Now I'm looking at queen g4. Okay, so now there are a lot of light squared weaknesses. So we'll start with queen f5, maybe move it to g5, and then play knight h4 or something. Is en passant any good here? No, I think we just want to leave those weaknesses where they are. For example, let's hit that weak e3 pawn. And where's my next knight want to be? It'd be really nice if I could get a knight up here. All right, we'll bring my knight back now. Okay, he's just going to keep making weaknesses to try and keep my knights out. Thinking c5, but I'm not a big fan of allowing that pawn to push, so maybe d5 and I can take with the knight. That'll continue to put pressure on e3. I might be a better square for it. Try and keep his dark squared bishop shut out of the game right now. Oh no, this allows f5. I should have played queen d7. Should have played queen d7. Yep. I'm going to take with the h pawn. I don't want to play down the f file. Here, my original plan was to take with the knight. But if I do that now, he can push g5 and try and win that e4 pawn. So we'll take with the queen. He's looking for a queen trade. And no surprise, we are not looking for a queen trade. Hit that e3 pawn again. Can't really take on c7 right now. The e3 pawn's more important. Okay, so he retreats. Maybe the other rook. No. This rook on the e file. Okay. This rook moves up the board. Move this rook to the d file. All right, he's playing well right now. That's a free pawn, though. Make sure it's actually free. Yep. He's playing under 20 seconds, but he keeps playing fast, so he's been fine with it so far. Okay, I have to take that knight. Oh, and he didn't take my knight. He's trying to go for a checkmate on the h file. Is what he's doing. So I'm going to guard my knight like this, because it's going to allow my king to run away. And now my king is going to run away. Now I have to go for a long run, it looks like, because he's in a lot of danger here. So let's keep running. Okay, I'm under 20 seconds now. But that was a mistake. Now I get my material back. In fact, now I'm up material. I didn't have to take that. Oh, yeah, I did. Now I'm threatening checkmate. Checkmate. Okay. So we had to do a lot of defense there. Yeah, so I was down a couple pawns, but we were able to keep our king safe enough to continue the game. He was playing under time pressure for quite a while. He played pretty well, all things considered. We've got 3 games left. All right, so both our top people won. So 2 people are at 6 out of 7. 1 at 5.5, 1 at 5, and a bunch at 4.5. And we're just kind of, moseying along, 3 out of 7. Not terrible. 1 game left. Those pawns are going to be impossible to stop. Then just A1. A1 queen. Looks good enough to me. Plenty of time with the increment. Plenty of time without the increment. So 3 more games left in this tournament. Middle game, Umash is having a real tournament. And that was the last game, so the next one should be starting any second. And there we go. Christopher Parsons is up next. All right, we'll see if he's here. It's going to be another Sicilian. Went well last time, so we'll see if we can make it happen again. It's going to be another dragon, not this time. All right, so we're going to play bishop c4. Now I just have to decide which way I want to castle. We'll go queenside. And we'll start attacking. All right, he wants to push this knight around. That's fine. Those knights jumping right in there. I'm guarding the c3 square enough. I'm not sure I wanted his knight to get in there. All right, I need to make something happen on the king side because his pieces are getting too coordinated over here. They're doing too much. Okay, let's play f5. I'm going to want to play f6 probably soon. I might want to take on h6. Got to make something happen. I can also take on d5 next if I so choose, forking the knight and the rook. This looks like a good time to do that. All right, discovered attack on the queen, and now I'm up a lot of material. Rook on the g file, looking for bishop takes h6. Okay, he took a pawn. All right, we're going to take on h6. I don't think he has time to take on e4. Looking for rook takes g7. And if he stops that, then we're going to just guard our bishop. But here, we go ahead and take that, try and open that file. He still doesn't have time to take on e4. But his king's just too exposed now. All right, I'll take with the rook. And check. Check. Guess I can just take that knight. For now, my back rank is still fine. It's 2 pieces and 2 pawns. All right, we're going to do this. Check. Check. I thought he had to go to this square. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, I guess I'm not really in trouble yet. Oh, wait, he just takes here. That's checkmate. I guess I was in trouble. All right, nice game, Christopher Parsons. Well played, surviving that attack, getting some counterplay yourself. See what games are still going on. Oh, he won that. Okay, so he's at 7 points. Ooh, he's the only one at 7 points right now. And see if white wins, he'll also be at 7 points. What's the material count? It is white's up a couple pawns. 2 pawns. But he's moving slow. Down around 30 seconds. It looks like we're missing the moves again. Let's refresh the page. Sometimes when we spectate the games. And okay, that's the game we just lost. What's going on in this top game? All right, so now he's up the exchange also. So it looks like white's well on his way to winning this game and being tied for the lead with 7 points. See, 6.5. One person that's him with 6. So it's really a 3-person race between these top 3, assuming that ASG2 wins. Then lots of people down there, just a little bit out of the race, I would say. And he won by resignation. All right. Next game, we played this guy that has the black pieces, but he's in trouble in this game against Cal24 from Switzerland. Yep, and that's going to be the end of that. Can't stop that pawn. Which means there'll only be 1 game left. K-Storm versus Go Queen yourself. And K-Storm is going to win this one, as he has 2 extra pawns and a king pawn endgame. White can't even take the B pawn because the A pawn would run. And so that ends that. And the next round should be starting. As I said, 3-horse race for first. Oh, we got a bye because so many people dropped out. Surprising we got a bye if all these people are playing, though. Usually it's the bottom person that gets the bye, but I guess that's the way the numbers lined up. All right, so let's take a look at this top game. Cal 24 is definitely playing a blitz or bullet opening. Not something you'd really see in over-the-board slow chess. And black is just playing a normal setup. Not trying to punish white for their weird setup. Just playing good, solid chess. My guess is that Cal 24 is quite good at bullet. Bullet, 2068. Everything's pretty high, yeah. So he definitely likes the faster time controls. He's going to isolate that C pawn, but white's going to get the bishop pair. It's not really isolated, the D pawn's there, so it's a little hard to target. Although rook C8, of course, makes sense lining up with the pawn. And he immediately guards that pawn. So without the D pawn, the D file being open, that D pawn for black isn't really a weakness. Very even position. Now both sides have a weak D pawn. And white is freely pushing their pawns. We'll check back in this game. Let's see what the other top game is. Here's the other top game. White has a huge space advantage. And yeah, that bishop's looking trapped. The king is trapped on the back row. This does not look good for black. Now black is down a piece. And there's still going to be pressure down that H file. This is not fun at all. K-Storm with quite a game going. Really quite a tournament for him. How'd this even happen? And that's where we are right now. White up a clean piece, completely winning position. Yeah, nothing you can do there. Oh, that was painful. Which means that if black can win this position, Scotchista 89 can win here, he will have a clear first place going into the last round. In fact, the best anyone can do is tie him. So what's going on now? White has a good space advantage here also. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that black king. Although apparently he's not worried about it because he just moved over to the queen side with the queen, saying he doesn't need it to help defend. I don't know what it's doing on the queen side. I don't see any good way to infiltrate at the moment. Yeah, double on the G file or put a rook on H3. Yeah, I don't see how to defend this. Okay, so he's just going to put the knight on h5 in an effort to defend. But what about rook h3, knight h5? Well, he's going to have time to play rook g8 to stop the mate after f6. So no checkmate there. So he is defending for the moment. Any move white plays now is pretty committal. So it's a key position. Well, I don't see a breakthrough. So maybe black was correct in thinking that he's fine. In fact, black is going on the attack here. Maybe bishop a3. Then the pieces get forked with queen takes a2. If bishop a3, queen takes a2. Maybe rook g2, but then he gives up any idea of ever playing rook h3. But okay, so he just goes rook h3 and says, I don't care about your piece that you're going to take on b2. But I'm not sure where the knockout blow is here. Okay. And then is he just going to push g6? Oh, there's a perpetual here if black wants it. Ooh. Black is up in exchange. He's able to force the queens off with that nice maneuver with the check. White certainly still has play, but black should be winning. Black also has a large time advantage now. As white is under 10 seconds. And with the move b6, you'd be able to get rid of the last set of rooks. Just take that rook on c4 with the pawn. Yep. c3 looks good enough. And then d2. You can't stop the pawn from becoming a queen. A very nice game by Spatista89. Let's see, Interactive Chess is playing against Federaci M. White is up a pawn, but black's king is active and safe. In fact, black's king is coming all the way up the board. King f2, and then rook g1, and then it'll be a perpetual. Yeah, I don't think that was the way to do it. Should have gone rook g1, and then you have the perpetual when you take on g2. And now you're down an extra pawn. So if we go back to this position here, don't even take the pawn. Just go rook g2, and if white queens, you take on g2 check and just go back and forth. Still not easy though. Oh, no! Rook takes pawn was checkmate. White checkmated themselves. Rook takes h4. Oh, and white is going to somehow win this game. Black threw away the draw. Then he threw away the checkmate. Wow. And now there's just nothing he can do. He's got to be frustrated with that. This is the last game. And he should have no trouble finishing out. And then we'll be moving on to the final game, which we have to win to get a 50% score. Gonna just let his time run there. He's gonna resign. We're all waiting on you, bud. All right. Now the final game of the tournament against M. Gleason. I don't know how you say his name, from the UK. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that he is the other person streaming this tournament. Another Queen's Gambit declined. All right, knight d7. Bishop e7 next, then kingside castle. All right, rook e8. a3. I'm not sure what he's doing with that move. Let's play h6. See if I can get my white squared bishop out. And play b5. And bishop b7 and look for c5. My rook will come to the c file. So he's trying to lock down on c5. Fair enough. All right, we'll look for a trade. And that's a piece. He missed that I was on his bishop on h4. Now the queen comes in. We definitely want to trade now because we're up the piece. Move my bishop back. Maybe play e5. Trying to attack or something here. Okay, I can't take this pawn, or he has bishop h7 check, winning my queen. So we definitely won't do that. We'll just attack the queen. Now we'll move it back, and now if I take on d4, it's with check, so I can take it now, as long as I don't leave my queen there. Okay, so it gets rid of that problem. Threatening the fork on e3. Okay, we'll fork. And his c-pawn's looking dangerous, which is why I want to make sure I have an initiative going. That way I can give back material if I need to, or just checkmate his king. So we'll start by taking the rook. Oh, he offered a queen trade and we didn't take it. Well, that's not what we needed. Well, I guess we're going to guard our knight now. And c2 is certainly going to be a problem. It's going to be hard to survive this down the queen. Retreat our bishop, attack the queen. Couldn't stop the queen anyway. We'll just force him to finish it off. He's going to take our knight, and he's got checkmate here if he wants it. Keep pushing the pawns. Oh, okay. Still doesn't want checkmate. Still doesn't want checkmate. And now he got it. Nope, still doesn't want it. He pushes that pawn again. Strategic check. And we're going to keep playing if he doesn't want to play checkmate. Now if he doesn't play a check, it's stalemate. Now would be a good time to checkmate me. Nope, okay, he still doesn't want to. Not sure what he's doing here, but I guess he's having fun. As long as he's having fun, I hope you won all those nights. Thought he'd get a couple bishops. There you go. All right, good games. I enjoyed the tournament. I think that was the first 3-2 tournament like that I've played. So didn't go great, but it's not my time control. I need some more practice. Hope you enjoyed the stream. See you guys next time.